Hello, and welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast with Astrologer Shelley Overton. Hello, and welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast with me, your astrologer in Orlando, Florida, Shelley Overton. I want to welcome you to the podcast today, and we're going to be going over what's going on in the sky this week. We've got a couple fairly big events coming up this week, and I want to touch on both of those, actually maybe three. So today we've got the moon in 25 Cancer, about to go into Leo, one of my personal favorites. Very creative moon. Moon in Cancer can be creative as well. I was talking about the moon in Leo, but moon in Cancer is about the home and family, and the part that it makes you creative in is more domestic things such as cooking, baking, decorating the house, making, any kind of sewing, cross stitch, things like that. Very traditional, homey, cozy kind of craftsy interests. And then we've also got a big push towards the end energy of home and family and mothers, and it makes you want to wrap up that story. We've got an opposition to Pluto at 24 of Capricorn. And so there's a tug of war kind of going on between Pluto and the moon right now. And that means that Pluto is wanting us to do something career-based, career-oriented. And we've got the opposite end with the moon wanting us to stay at home and be safe and be cozy and connected to family members. Pluto, because he's about to go direct on, I don't know why, every week, itch. He goes direct this coming week, and he's going to be going direct on the 6th of October, which we will get to here in a minute because it's pretty significant cluster of aspects and planets on that day. I was going to start here on the 30th of September, which is a Thursday, and then we'll go into October. And I'm not going to talk about the whole month necessarily. We'll see where it goes. But currently, we've got this opposition of the moon to Pluto. And so the moon is wanting to wrap up a story, an old story around family and security as it relates to our career. I know I'm feeling a little draw to do something different with the direction of career as it relates to my home. And so, if you're feeling that same way, it's not surprising. We've got Sun at 7 degrees of Libra, right near Mars at 10 degrees Libra, and Mercury at 24 Libra retrograde. So the Sun, 3 degrees off Mars, he's going to be joining up with Mars this weekend. And let's see if I can tell you when that is. Sun and Mars join up next Thursday, which is a ways out, but they are so close. So that means this week we're going to have a Sun-Mars conjunction, which is ego, like on steroids, in Libra. So there is an extra agitation and kind of an imbalance, which is Libra's thing, is having balance. But there is an imbalance with Sun and Mars because Mars rules the opposite of Libra, which is Aries, and the Sun rules a Leo sign, the Leo energy, and that is a sextile to Libra, which is cooperative, but Mars doesn't feel very comfortable in Libra because Venus rules Libra, and she wants cooperation and receptivity, whereas Mars is assertive and at times aggressive. So there is like a bristling of the Libra energy right now, and the Sun just adds to it. So the Sun shines the light, gives us the awareness of the energy. Early Libra means there's initiating energy around connecting to partners, connecting to what we desire, and wanting to maybe do a little bit of diplomacy. And as we connect the Sun to Mars, there's going to be a strong drive to take action around partnerships, whether that is, I'm going to assert my desires on you, I'm going to initiate what I want out of the relationship, or I am going to potentially run roughshod over your desires because Mars in and of itself tends to be very brash and driven. When you add the Sun into it, it's going to feel like whatever action I take is justified. And, my ego says it's okay. And keep in mind that the ego is the security mechanism attached to the physical body and looks out for the physical world material interests of a person. And when you bring together the sun and Mars, the materiality of our world and our personal interests in whatever we're manifesting is going to be heightened, is going to be primary. Now, couple that or triple that with Mercury and Libra, and now you've got an added communication edge to the whole story. And Mercury wants to get the ideas out and have a voice, have a say, have a place in the conversation. And going backwards, of course, Sun and Mars are direct. Sun never goes retrograde, and Mars does go retrograde every couple of years, but is not currently retrograde. And so they are moving fast forward, where Mercury is going back over territory Mercury's already been to. And so Mercury is saying, I've been here. I understand this. Let me give you the wisdom of what I know and what I can see from the information I've already gleaned from this situation. And so Mercury looks to understand and find the commonalities that can help bridge communication gaps. And that's where we're going to be spending our time over the course of this week, is very strong energy in Libra season. And so, yes, we are now in Libra season. The sun is in Libra. We are about clarity because Libra is an air sign. We are about desire because she is ruled by Venus. Venus rules a feminine sign of Libra. It is about women. It is about feminine receptive energy, which is what creates balance and what also creates cooperation, but the feminine side of getting along with other people. And it is an emotional energy. It is a sensitive energy. It is a feminine perspective. And yes, Mars is there, but it just means that now women can drive the conversation. And so I know that we're trying to get this, but now a multiple $1 trillion bill passed. I think it's 3 trillion, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't paid real close attention, but I know it's in the trillions. And Nancy Pelosi, who's the Speaker of the House, is really in charge of getting this bill passed because she is the primary person asking for the vote. And so she's really trying to broker a deal to get this $3 trillion budget passed for infrastructure in the world. And Mercury retrograde, what that means for something like that, like a bill passed around transportation and infrastructure, is that we are redoing something we've done before. And because Mercury's retrograde, when he goes direct, it means that he's going to make a final pass, and this is the final say. My guess is there will be some back and forth, and at some point when Mercury goes direct, there will be another story around what's going on with this bill. And maybe it won't be signed until Mercury goes direct. We don't know. But I think today, the Thursday, the 30th of September, is really the day they're supposed to vote. It'll be interesting to see if that happens because so much energy. Basically, if you look at the chart, which I'm going to put right here, last week I think I got it a little bit off because at times, because I had my camera posed in the wrong position. So hopefully I won't be. I try to make it large enough for you to see, but I think because I go to different places on the screen when I talk, it was in front of my face for part of the time. Anyway, yeah, we've got that inclusive sense of diplomacy that's desired with Sun, Mars, and Mercury in Libra. Then we have Venus at 22 Scorpio. So the interesting thing about that is in the coming days, when the moon gets to late degrees of Leo, we are going to see that there's going to be an opportunity for lying and fraud and tall tales coming in. The energy is so dramatic, especially Scorpio is very cut and dry, black and white. But in N degrees, there is a storyline, a subconscious purging of what information and research has been found out during the time of any planet when they get to the N degrees of Scorpio. They're going to express what they found and really start to get ready for the purge. And I can tell you, when Venus goes into Sagittarius, there will be a lot of information coming out, probably around the housing market. We're going to see housing and foreign currency, maybe the cost of the dollar compared to other currencies. Venus rules money, and Sagittarius rules housing. So it's going to be really interesting to see. My guess is there's probably going to be even an increase from there in the numbers in the housing market, being Venus desire. It's the materiality of merchandise and our world. Any of the earth signs will also have a say. And of course, Uranus is in Taurus. So there is an unexpected energy around that. Usually Taurus is the markets, and Venus rules Libra and Taurus. So of course, wherever Venus goes, essence of the market, of finance, of money, of economics, of inflation, depending on where she's at. Definitely Venus in Libra, when she was in Libra, could bring more unexpected ups and downs and a drying up of the desire. So maybe there was a lull in purchasing homes, probably not a big lull, because let's face it, it's a pretty hot market right now. But when Venus gets in Scorpio, she kind of digs deep into the emotions and then maybe thinks more about joint finances and whether or not the deal can be done. And then when she gets to Sagittarius, she's all about going forward and not having any roadblocks and doing the freedom to move about. So I do see when Venus goes into Sagittarius is going to be a big time of probably looking more at the desire for the house and how we can afford to get it. So that happens on the 7th of Thursday, a week from today, Thursday, the 7th of October. As we go through this week, we see Venus going in further into the end degrees of Scorpio, really intuiting the storyline, the information that has been really going on behind the scenes. It may mean that there is an intuitive female story. There may be also sex information coming out for this next full week and maybe even to 2 weeks. Venus at end degree Scorpio moving into Sagittarius can also mean more information coming out around sexual harassment or the story of how women are being abused sexually, and it comes out in the news or in the media. And then, of course, like I said, when Venus goes into Sagittarius, it's a housing market, take the action that we desire us to practice. And then we come around the other side to Pluto in Capricorn, 24 degrees, 19 minutes of Capricorn, and then Saturn at 6:58 retrograde, and Jupiter at 22:50 of Aquarius. And they are also, like I said, part of the grand trine going on with the North Node and the Sun currently. Saturn, North Node, and Sun. Ownership of career, where we see ourselves expressing our career and our choices around career. And then the North Node is part of a fate, destiny moment, but it's also about learning, because we come into this world knowing really well the South Node, but the opposite side, the North Node, is a more fortunate node, and it is expressing something that we are not as familiar with. So it's going to be an energy where we are pushing to make something happen, but it may not be as obvious to us how that something is going to materialize and what we have to do to make it happen. North Node in Gemini means it's about communication and thought. Our minds can get really wrapped up in what do I do? What do I do? I'm going here, I'm going there. I don't know which decision is the best decision, because again, duality of Gemini, you may have multiple choices. And Sun, Saturn is going to be about the ego attachment, the balance of what two different factors appear in our world at this time. So that could be me versus you, siblings versus each other, parent versus child, boss versus employee, men versus women, any way that there seems to be a polarity and an opposite going on. And then Saturn in Aquarius is going to bring out multiples, and of course, freedom and autonomy, because Aquarius rules that need for being our own boss and calling our own shots. Excuse me, Jupiter is there, but so is Saturn. So Saturn's about the authority, about the career, about the structure in Aquarius. So where do we need the freedom within the structure? And Jupiter is asking us to push forward and get the freedom. Because both planets are retrograde, Jupiter and Saturn, we're going to be a little stressed out over where we're going to go, because Jupiter, where am I landing next? And Saturn, how is that going to end up being something stable and supportive and trustworthy? Because Saturn really wants it to be trustworthy and secure. So those stories are coming up, and yeah, we're going to really feel that energy over the course of this next week until Sun really gets past Mars, which will be next week around Friday. Okay, I'm going to go through the week a little bit here and then talk some about October 6th and 7th, because those are pretty potent days for events happening in the world. Okay, today I'm just going to touch on, based on what's going on. I'm not going to tell you every single aspect throughout the week, but I will give you a heads up as to what else is going on. Venus squaring Jupiter today on Thursday. That is a really, like I said, it's desire for freedom. It's, really being in touch with our intuition, which is at odds with the ability to go. Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius means there is that restriction of movement and the restriction of freedom. And it squares off at Venus. Venus in Scorpio wants to dig deep into the emotions. And I can tell you, and I have told you many times, that squares in the zodiac to me are really wonderful friction points where it's kind of like, think of having a car that may have brake problems, but you don't really pay attention until the brakes start getting mushy, and maybe you have somebody cut you off and you need to stop quickly and your brakes are not as strong as they should be. Now we have friction. Now we have something in the physical material world showing us that we need to pay attention to this. What's going on? That's kind of the energy of a square in the zodiac. So we go along in our world and we know maybe there's something that's up, something that doesn't fit well or sit right with us, until it appears in our lives. And then we're like, oh, okay, yeah, that needs to be tended to. So right now, that is all about the Saturn Jupiter energy. Where are we getting our freedom? Are we in alignment? Have we done what it takes? Have we taken the action now? Because both planets are retrograde, we need to seriously look at where autonomy can be enhanced in our lives and where we have not really taken the autonomy back. And Saturn will help us do that. Saturn is going to show us that we need to have that, and we need to shore up the goals and the structure of where we're heading with career. Let's see, and that's the day, which is today, that moon goes into Leo tonight at 8:53 p.m. Eastern and 5:53 p.m. Pacific, which is probably when most of you will just about be getting to see this podcast, because editing. Friday is going to be hidden agendas in love and money, and it will be revealed next week with Pluto turning direct. Because remember, Venus is in Scorpio, she answers to Pluto, and so Pluto changes direction. He's been going back over what information he knew, which also in America that pertains to January 6th and the insurrection. When Pluto goes direct, Pluto rules the 8th house, which is legalities, the law, government, etc. And so for the good 5-6 months, we've been dealing with this Pluto retrograde, probably behind the scenes digging into what happened and in government. And so now as Pluto goes direct, and because he's at the end degrees of Capricorn now, we are going to start finding out what has been discovered, what the discovery is from the Scorpionic energy, and that is Pluto. In Capricorn, structure, government, authority. Now, we get to Friday, and we have Moon in Leo. We've got Mars opposite Chiron, Moon opposite Saturn on Friday, and then Mercury squaring Pluto. So there's going to be, there's definitely, with Pluto about to turn direct and Mercury retrograde, I'm guessing that this is what astrology is awesome for, is that you can look into what's going on, and the general public may not know what's going on because a lot of what happens is they get their information from media. When you have Mercury squaring Pluto, that tells me that the information that's been found out from Pluto retrograde and going back over all the details of the hidden, Mercury knows something. Mercury wants to tell something, but Mercury's retrograde. So when Mercury goes direct, remember there's a friction happening with the square between Mercury and Pluto. And so Pluto knows something. He's about to make a big shift. He's about to come out with it because he wants to finish the story at the end of Capricorn, which means we are shifting how government works and how we look at the structure and the reliability and the truth. And then Mercury being retrograde in Libra, there's a balance, but Mercury's squaring Pluto right now. So they're at odds. They're not getting along. So my guess is the story, what the story would be is information has been found out, but we cannot have it revealed just yet because Mercury's still going back over it and not ready to reveal it. Whereas Pluto is also going to change direction. And now he wants to get on with things. He wants things to come out. And so there will be probably this whole month of October, a huge watershed of information. And Mercury is being coy right now, but when Mercury goes direct, I think the 17th, it's going to be a different story. It's all going to start to come out. We're going to have the sun join up with Mercury in 2 weeks anyway. And that means that the light's going to be shed. Mercury is ready to talk. And let's see, yeah, that happens on the day Jupiter goes direct. And Jupiter's in Aquarius. So it's basically, I know some information. This is the truth. The truth will come out. And you're not going to stop me from telling it, Jupiter direct. And on the same day Mercury goes direct, it's going to be pretty phenomenal. It's going to be a very big watershed story moment. And within 2 degrees, that's the 18th, excuse me. I thought it was the 17th. It's the 18th. But it's overnight. It's the 17th for Jupiter going direct in the Pacific time zone at 10:30 p.m. And then it's 1:30 in the morning. Oh, my bad. 1:30 in the morning Eastern. I was going to say that. Jupiter direct 1:30 a.m. October 18th. And then Moon goes into Aries, and Aries will not be stopped. So having the Moon at that time, the Moon will be in Pisces, finishing up the story. Oh my gosh, it's even the 18th, October 6th and October 18th, 2 phenomenally big days for world news. Yeah, Jupiter going direct, then Moon goes into Aries, a lot of bravado and action being taken. Of course, Jupiter is an fire sign and wants to go fire planet, wants to go direct full force. And then Mercury goes direct in Libra and air sign. So you got air and fire. Yeah. Big day. Okay, and let's see, I'm trying to keep it all straight here. So yeah, lots going on coming up in October. But Friday, that friction is going to be showing itself with the information's there. It is like, I can tell you in a few weeks when this all comes out, we're going to look back and go, oh my God, people are going to say, we've known about it and we just couldn't say anything, or we were still getting our ducks in a row and it's all going to come out. Now's the time. Now is when it's really all the information's coming together and will be coming out throughout October. But definitely the 18th is going to be a whoosh watershed moment. Okay. And then think about it also, it's the beginning of Scorpio. So the sun goes into Scorpio around that time as well. Anyway, Friday, we've got that friction between Venus and Saturn, meaning, now we've got finances and career having to be reliant on someone else, but then wanting the freedom. And that's going to be the primary energy, but it will dissipate as Venus gets out of that direct square. Moon square Uranus. So Moon in Aquarius is squaring its own sign. Mercury square Pluto. And then we have a sextile of Moon to Mars in Libra, meaning moving forward, a fire Moon with air Mars. So it's going to really create some momentum. Sextiles are cooperative. So Moon deciding that there is some creative endeavor that has to move forward, and Mars is looking for balance, looking for cooperation, and looking to partner on Friday. So we come to Saturday where there's a Venus Pluto sextile, really good energy for manifesting and, making money, quite honestly. Venus and Scorpio join finances, and Pluto and Capricorn, which is a structure. The only minor part of that aspect is going to be that Pluto's retrograde. And so maybe slow to change and to move in the direction Venus wants to go. But yet, whatever is started Saturday, or even Friday evening, because that sextile perfects 3:48 a.m. It's very, very early. But because they're really in cooperation, when Pluto goes direct this week, it's going to be a huge, and also Venus goes into Sagittarius, which is the materiality of the desire, which is Scorpio, the desire for truth, the desire for passion and commitment to money and joint finances, and everything that the eighth house and Pluto energy wants to do. So Venus is still going to be in Scorpio until Thursday. So she's really going to take full advantage of that Pluto moving direct when it comes, because she's still going to be in Scorpio when Pluto goes direct. And then the next day. So you've got about 15 hours of time between Wednesday, the 6th and the 7th of October, when Venus is in Scorpio and Pluto is direct, and Venus changes to Scorpio, to Sagittarius. Anyway, Saturday, it's good for women, joint finances, court politics, and feeling valued. There is a T-square between the Moon, Venus, and Jupiter in Aquarius. So Moon in Leo, opposite Jupiter, and squaring Venus. Another very strong energy for making things happen, but also being aware. Jupiter isn't direct yet. So Venus probably Saturday is going to be a bit frustrated with that T-square and the inability to really get the desires to manifest this weekend. They are on their way, guaranteed by the end of this coming month, October. They're on their way. And Moon enters Virgo, 4:38 a.m. on Sunday. We've got a trine to Jupiter and Mercury in the evening, which is 8:05 p.m. Eastern. And so it's going to be about balance and air and balance, but travel. I wouldn't do any traveling on Sunday. Just be very careful, because you have Mercury trine Jupiter. It's in Libra, which is air, and Jupiter, which is air. And trines can mean unexpected difficulty, and Mercury is all about the communication. So yeah, just be cautious traveling on Sunday. Monday is money and desire, work versus relaxation. We've got an opposition of the Moon in Virgo to Neptune in Pisces, and then an inconjunct to Jupiter later in the day. So that's all like kind of afternoon. And there's a trine of the Moon to Uranus in Taurus at 5:19 a.m. Yeah, so the Moon and Neptune work together for, and also the Moon trine Capricorn at 11:03 p.m. as it moves into trine. You're going to be about the material world, the physical world, and moving forward with finishing off things that you want to get done and be complete before that Pluto goes direct. Keep in mind that Neptune is at the last 10 degrees of Pisces, and Pluto is in the last few degrees of Capricorn, which is an ending of materiality. So end of clothes, end of house in the way we knew it, end of storylines with family, with friends, moving jobs, moving homes, changing careers, ending of this, getting ready for the new that. And the overall major life change shift is also going to happen in the next couple of years with Pluto moving into Aquarius. But this next couple of years are about finishing off the story. Tuesday coming in is Moon entering Libra at 8:41 a.m. and 5:41 a.m. Pacific. And then we've got a trine of the Moon to Saturn in air, because the Moon is moving into Libra. And so that's going to be a little bit more cooperative with all the Libra energy going on in the sky anyway. And it is a really great time for going out on dates, for finding someone else who is interested in what you're interested in, making that partnership happen, doing some thinking, honestly, too, because it's an air sign, thinking about how others can help your dreams come true. And then the 6th, October 6th, um, new moon, 13 degrees Libra. And so she joins up with the sun at 13 degrees, and that's going to be at 7:05 a.m. on Wednesday the 6th. There is a Mars inconjunct to Uranus in Taurus. So, of course, Libra, Taurus is not a fun, pleasant energy for the two of them because they're both ruled by Venus. But Mars and Uranus is hard hitting and unexpected in a difficult aspect. So, look for something that was, like a 1-2 punch is really kind of what comes to mind. And Mars is at 5:27 a.m. in conjunct to Uranus, and then Moon is in conjunct to Uranus at 7:56 a.m. So early in the day, you've got some really powerful energy coming through. Be super cautious if you're traveling early in the morning on that day, because there's almost like this desire to not be told what to do, but also take physical action, and that's not really good when you're in traffic. Then Pluto goes direct at 2:29 p.m. Eastern and 11:29 a.m. Pacific in the afternoon. Wednesday, there is a conjunction of the moon to Mercury at 5:40 p.m., another inconjunct of Sun to Uranus, an inconjunct of Moon to Uranus or to Neptune in the evening, a lot of inconjuncts that day, and then Moon inconjunct Jupiter at 10:08 p.m. So Moon in air, Jupiter in Aquarius air. And then it finishes out with a void of course square to Pluto in the Pacific time zone, 10:03 p.m. And here in the Eastern time zone at 1:03 a.m. on Thursday, followed by which at 7:21 a.m. Venus moves into Sagittarius and then Moon moves into Scorpio at 10:22 a.m. So let me recap. We've got a new moon on Wednesday the 6th, Pluto direct on Wednesday the 6th, multiple inconjuncts to planets, and followed the next day by Venus entering Sagittarius and Moon entering Scorpio. And shortly after the Moon enters Scorpio, there's a square to Saturn. Actually, not shortly relative term in the evening at 9:37 p.m. And then the Moon conjuncts Mars overnight. So yeah, we're gonna really have a raucous end of the week. It means that there's going to be information, desire, and action all being challenged. We're going to see attitudes around career, around home and family, around what we think of things, how we can join with others. Air signs are always about how am I relating to you? And what are the thoughts that we can come to together? It's a brainstorming energy. It can be being in a cooperative environment energy, but there will be friction in the path to gaining cooperation. And that's the story for this coming week. The last thing I want to mention in the podcast is the air energy is really a super trigger for how we integrate electrical energy in our bodies, the clarifying energy of air signs. So we see things in the environment around us that we didn't see before. We understand energy in a way we haven't understood before. So I fully see that we're going to get nervous. We can have anxiety. We can have panic attacks. Those are ways of expressing the processing of the electrical energy we're feeling right now. I think I mentioned last week, I was running into these blinking lights all week long. And that is also something that can come through, keeping in mind Aquarian energy is quantum. It is unexpected energy. It is something that doesn't necessarily make sense in a linear logical world. And so when we interact with it, it can seem completely like an anomaly in our world. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I don't understand the logic of that. But there is logic. In a broader sense, there's logic because it is quantum. And there are reasons for everything in this world. We just don't necessarily know the reason from our limited perspective. That being said, all of the air signs, so Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius, are going to be giving us the full on energy of what's what their signs are about, what the planets that rule them are about, Uranus, Mercury, and Venus in Libra, the logic and intellect of what we desire. So, anyway, I want to bring that up because I do think that this is going to be a stronger week of anxiety. It's the unexpected and the unknown. And of course, Pluto and Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo, Earth signs, and Cancer really need to know outcomes. And because air is always the unexpected in a way, because it comes through the air, it comes through the knowingness, it comes through means that we don't always understand through electrical energy or atomic energy that doesn't necessarily follow paths that our reasonable mind can understand. So when we don't understand it in a material sense, we start to get anxious. And that's when we have to pay attention to our body's responses. And I want you to be a little bit more aware of what situations make you nervous, make you have butterflies. And think of that imagery of a butterfly. I've got it literally right on my desktop right now. There, that's so wonderful. Air signs all work together to help us understand the nature of science and cooperation amongst people with ideas, and the duality, the nature of truth versus lies. And, that's what we're going to be seeing this week. And it's the particular season of air energy with all the Aquarius and then Libra. So, and we're going to have a new moon in Libra. So I'm going to tell you with the new moon in Libra, again, Wednesday, October 6th, and it is at 7:05 a.m. and 4:05 a.m. Pacific, and the first one was Eastern. Please do take a moment on the 6th to do a ritual of some sort, even if it means to write down your thoughts of what you want to have happen or what you want to release. New is meaning we're creating. So it's really a better energy for writing down what you intend and what you want to do as a goal and release it through fire or air, like maybe making a paper airplane out of it and throw it off a cliff, whatever it is that you deem to be a really good air ritual, do that. So also air is visualizing and thinking in your mind how it could do something, like you encapsulate it and then send it out into the universe. It could also be writing a story, writing something down, because it's words and verbal energy. Anyway, this is going to be a really long video if I go on much longer. The bottom line that I wanted to give you is really that air energy is when we are integrating electrical or neurological information through the signs Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and we don't always know the answer, which makes us uncomfortable, especially those of us with stronger water and earth signs. But because we are moving closer to this Aquarian age, it's going to trigger us more as a collective, which I'm seeing all over the place. Anxiety seems to be the biggest talking point right now, and mental health. So my take on it is this energy is coming in. We are interpreting energy, not through our emotions always. I mean, we have it. We do interpret through our emotions, not through I am valuable because I have a material item, which is the earth energy, and not through action. And I am valuable because I've taken action, but because I'm aware. And if you are more aware, then you can do something about it. This week, I was thinking about how anxious I am currently and how much caffeine I've been digesting. So if, we're sitting there going, wow, everybody, I know I was reading a couple weeks ago that caffeine is one of the most common chemicals we all ingest. I think 80% of people ingest caffeine every day. And I could be wrong on that, but I know it was at least 80. And, when we ingest so much caffeine and our nervous system is stimulated, how can you be surprised when you have anxiety or nervousness or jitteriness, or can't sleep? Those are hallmarks of caffeine. So pay attention to your intake. What stimulates you? Are you being overly stimulated? Do you have too much light, too much sound, too much activity? Really pay attention to that because it's going to be a heightened week of energy through mental stimulation and mental understanding and clarity. The good side of it is clarity. The downside of it is confusion, repetitive thoughts, anxiousness, distraction. So if you're also on computers and then you get super tired, take a break. Computers can be stimulating and it is an Aquarian energy. So just really take care of yourself through your mental health, your emotional health, your psychic well-being, and take some time out from those things that are overly stimulating because it's going to be a hyper stimulating week. Okay, that's all I have for you this week, and thank you for joining me. Share the podcast if you can, comment below, subscribe if you're watching it in YouTube. Thanks for showing up. Take care. Talk to you next week. Bye. Bad. Which one is it? No. Okay, my bad. 130. Oh my gosh. What the heck? How am I two pages behind? Ugh.
Hi, this is Shelley. Thank you for joining us this week. To contact me for a private reading, go to angeliczodiac.com under the Readings tab. Background music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. Music provided on show-by-show basis will be credited within the body of the show. For more info on my art, go to shelleyoverton.com. That's SHELLEYOVERTON.com. To purchase my ebook, Learn Astrology, you can find it at angeliczodiac.com, including discounts. Be sure to check back next week and subscribe through iTunes at AstroEnergy Astrology Show.